Chapter 1. Lantern at Dusk. You step from the rain-darkened forest lane onto a narrower path, and at once the world seems to soften around you, as though the evening has drawn a gentler breath, the wet gravel giving way to moss and dark soil, the tall firs leaning close overhead, their branches holding the last pale traces of dusk, while a quiet rain slips through in silver threads. You feel the cool mist against your cheeks and forehead, light as a blessing, almost too soft to call rain now, and the air is filled with the deep green scent of wet pine, rich and clean and slightly sweet, mingled with the faint earthy note of soaked bark and old needles resting underfoot. Somewhere above, droplets gather patiently on the tips of branches, then fall one by one, or sometimes in a delicate cluster, tapping leaves, brushing ferns, disappearing into the hush below. A few steps ahead, through the dark weave of trunks and fir boughs, you notice the cabin for the first time. It does not appear all at once. It arrives slowly, the way a memory returns, first as a warm blur of colour, a soft amber glow floating between the branches, then as a porch lantern, steady and golden, hanging beneath an eave you can only partly see. That single light seems to gather the whole wet evening around it, turning the rain nearest to it into tiny drifting sparks, touching the slick bark of the nearest trees, laying a faint warmth across the deep green of the path. It is not a bright light, not a calling light, only a patient one, and the gentleness of it settles into you at once. You pause without meaning to, simply to take in the stillness. The forest is not silent, though it feels hushed in the way soft rooms feel hushed when a lamp is lit and the outside world fades a little farther away. You hear the small and constant music of rainfall, the faint brushing whisper of needles moving high above, the occasional soft patter of heavier drops finding their way from branch to branch, and underneath it all the quiet steadiness of your own steps as you begin again, slower now, letting the path guide you. The moss at the edges looks almost luminous with dampness, thick and velvety, and the stones, half hidden beneath it, glisten as though polished by the rain. The lantern remains ahead, partly veiled by the firs, never distant, never near, and that soft glow begins to shape the path before you, touching wet leaves here, a dark root there, the silken threads of mist drifting low between the trunks. The cool air rests lightly on your skin, and every breath carries that forest fragrance deeper, wet pine and rainwater, and the clean mineral scent of stone. Your shoulders loosen beneath it. The lane behind you already feels far away, as if it belongs to another evening, and this narrow path, mossy and dim and gently lit, feels quietly welcoming, not because it is familiar, but because it asks nothing of you at all. So you continue beneath the dripping firs, through the dusk that grows softer with every step, with the rain falling lightly around you, and the lantern glowing on, calm and golden, at the edge of the trees. Chapter 2. Fern-soft footsteps. You follow the winding path a little more slowly now, as though the forest itself has set the pace, and your steps become softer, quieter, shaped by the damp earth that yields beneath you with a muted, cushioned crunch, not sharp, not dry, only a gentle giving way, as if the ground has been patiently waiting to hold each footfall and then let it pass. On either side of the path, ferns rise in deep green layers beside your knees, their fronds arched and feathery, each leaflet edged with raindrops that cling and tremble and shine whenever the lantern light reaches through the trees. Some droplets are round and bright as glass beads, some long and heavy enough to slip free and fall soundlessly into the undergrowth below. And sometimes, as you pass, the tip of a frond brushes lightly against your hand or sleeve, cool and silken and wet. The rain has quieted into something finer, a drifting veil, more than a shower, and now you hear it mostly on the leaves, a delicate tapping on the broader ones, a softer hiss through the needles above, and every now and then the distinct silver note of a gathered drop releasing from a branch and landing on another leaf below. The whole forest seems to be listening to itself. Even the air feels hushed, as though the dampness has softened every edge, every sound, every thought, until all that remains is this slow path, this easy breathing, this tender evening light ahead between the fir trunks. As the path bends, the cabin reveals a little more of itself. First, a darker line beneath the lantern, then the suggestion of a porch rail, slick with rain and faintly gleaming, then a portion of the roof, steep and shadowed, with water slipping from the edge in a fine, shimmering thread. Nothing arrives quickly. Each detail appears, then rests, then is half hidden again by a branch or a curtain of fern, inviting your attention without asking for it. The windows are still mostly concealed, though now and then you glimpse a soft reflection, a dim gold resting on glass. The porch posts seem sturdy and quiet, their wood darkened by weather, and the narrow path that leads to them curves with such natural ease that it feels less like a route made by hands, and more like something the forest agreed to. You notice how the wet soil smells richer here, deeper, touched by roots and pine needles, and the cool sweetness of rainwater sinking down. You notice how the mist lingers low among the ferns, brushing your ankles, how the leaves near your shoulders hold tiny, trembling lines of water, how the hush grows fuller rather than emptier the longer you listen. Step by step, the cabin becomes less a distant shape and more a gentle presence waiting among the trees, lantern steady, porch dimly outlined, warm color resting against all that green and silver rain. And still you walk slowly, because there is no need to hurry, because each small thing along the path seems worth noticing. The soft earth, the fern tips, the quiet rain on leaves, the deep calm of the forest holding you as you move through it. And because with every careful footstep, the evening seems to grow more peaceful, more settled, more ready to receive you. You keep moving along the fern-lined path with that same unhurried ease, and ahead of you, the lantern begins to glow less like a distant point and more like a quiet welcome waiting among the trees. A strip of moss brightening at the base of a tree, the wet curve of bark catching a warm gleam, a rain-slick stone shining for a moment, as though it has been polished by evening itself. The path bends only slightly, almost without announcing it, and with that subtle turn, the cabin begins to show itself more clearly through the trees, not all at once, but piece by piece, as though the woods are kindly revealing it in their own time. First, the suggestion of a porch rail, dark and simple against the glow behind it. Then the sloping line of the roof, damp with rain and deepened by shadow. Then a window, small and warm, holding a soft amber light that seems to rest in the rain without being disturbed by it. Around you the forest remains hushed and full, breathing its cool green breath, smelling of wet earth, fern stems, pine needles, and bark darkened by the long steady drizzle. And yet now there is something else mingling with it, something faint and welcoming, the scent of warm wood, perhaps a trace of cedar or old boards touched by lantern heat, a dry and home-like note drifting outward to meet you on the path. Your steps soften even more as the ground changes beneath you, the soil firmer here, scattered with roots and flat stones slick with rain, and every surface seems to hold two kinds of light at once, the silver-grey shimmer of the evening rain and the deeper gold of the lantern, which lies across the forest floor in quiet patches, pooling in hollows, tracing the edges of leaves, catching on the tiny beads of water gathered along the fern tips, until each one glows for a heartbeat, and then dims again as you pass. The cabin no longer feels hidden, no longer feels far away, and the feeling that rises in you is not surprise but recognition, calm and simple and deep, as though you have been walking toward something already known to your heart, something patient enough to wait among the trees until you arrived. The porch, the roof line, the window light, the lantern near the steps, all of it fitting so gently into the rain-soaked forest that it seems less like a structure placed here, and more like a warmth the woods have slowly grown around. You notice the grain of the porch posts now, darkened by moisture, the shine along the rail where rain has smoothed the wood, the soft square of window glow resting against the green-black trunks behind it, and the lantern itself, clearer with every step, its glass bright with amber light, its metal top dim and wet, its glow spilling outward in a calm circle that softens everything it reaches. And still you walk slowly, listening to the hush of rain in the leaves, to the lighter dripping from branch to branch, to the almost silent sound of your own footfalls on the path, while the cabin gathers shape and nearness and presence until wonder settles into something quieter, something steadier, a feeling of arriving long before you actually reach the porch, a feeling that the warmth ahead has already begun to receive you. Chapter 4. Porch Shelter. At last, the path brings you to the very edge of the porch, and the change is so gentle, so natural, that for a moment it feels as though you have simply stepped from one kind of quiet into another, from the cool, open hush of the rain among the trees into the softer, closer hush beneath the eaves, where the sound of water shifts overhead and becomes rounder, steadier, a tender drumming on the roof above you. The boards beneath your feet are dry here, dry and faintly warm compared with the damp earth behind you, and their texture feels solid and grounding, smooth in places from years of weather and use, lightly rough in others where the grain still rises, and the scent around you deepens at once into something comforting, the smell of old timber, sheltered air, rain-dark railings, and lantern glass holding a quiet little bloom of heat. You pause there without effort, without needing to decide to pause, simply because this small covered space welcomes stillness, because the roof overhead gathers the rain into a patient rhythm, because the porch posts stand calm and dark around you, because the window glow nearby rests so softly on the wood, and because the lantern beside the steps sends out its amber light in such a steady way that everything within it seems to loosen and soften and become untroubled. The air is warmer here, only a little, but enough to notice, enough that the chill of the rainy path begins to ease from you, enough that your shoulders feel lighter, your chest quieter, your breathing slower. And as the lantern glows beside you, that warmth seems to drift closer and closer, not in any hurried way, only gradually, until it feels as though the golden light itself has gathered around your shoulders and across your chest like a soft cloak, light as mist and warm as wool dried near a fire, resting there without weight, without pressure, simply surrounding you. Beyond the porch, the rain continues to fall through the trees, silver in the dimness, whispering through fern and branch and moss. But from here, it feels distant in the sweetest way, like a song heard from another room. And under the shelter, you remain quiet and dry, held between the amber lantern glow and the low, warm shimmer from the window, while the whole evening seems to settle more deeply around the cabin, more deeply around you. You notice small things now, slower and slower. The bead of water hanging from the porch rail before slipping soundlessly into the dark below. the faint shine along the edge of a wooden step, the muted gleam on the lantern's curved glass, the way warm light touches the boards at your feet and turns their grain honey-coloured for a few inches before fading into shadow. And all of it feels gentle. All of it feels enough. All of it feels as though it has been waiting in perfect calm for you to arrive and stand here beneath the roof while the rain goes on falling. So you linger there, still and easy, with the dry wood beneath you, the roof overhead, the forest breathing cool and green beyond the porch, and the lantern's quiet, amber warmth resting around you, around your shoulders, around your chest, like a soft golden covering, like evening itself drawing close, slowly and more slowly still, until there is nothing to do but remain in that hush and let the shelter hold you. Chapter 5. Bench by the door. Beside the porch door there is a long wooden bench, simple and welcoming, its surface worn smooth by seasons of quiet use, and after standing for a little while in the lantern glow, with the rain falling softly beyond the roof, you find yourself settling there without hurry, lowering gently onto the cool, polished wood, feeling at once the steady firmness beneath you, and the old, dependable strength of the cabin rising close behind your back, as if the whole small place has been waiting in patience to offer you this one restful corner at the end of the path. The bench is broad enough to let you sink into stillness, and the wood grain under your hands feels faintly rippled, faintly warm in some places where the lantern light has rested, and cooler in others where evening air has drifted through, so that every touch holds both shelter and weather together, the comfort of crafted timber and the freshness of the damp green world just beyond the porch, where fern fronds nod in the rain darkness, and the mist hangs low among the trunks in silver layers too soft to count. At your feet, the air remains deliciously cool, brushing lightly around your ankles, moving under the bench and along the floorboards, carrying the clean scent of wet earth and leaves and rainwater gathered in moss, while above that gentle coolness the lantern keeps its own steady climate, its amber light resting over your knees, your hands, your shoulders, drawing a little island of warmth around you that does not flicker or hurry, but simply remains quietly, faithfully, like a small golden promise. And because the night has grown so calm, and because the rain speaks in such a patient rhythm on the roof and out along the eaves, it becomes easy to picture that warmth as more than light, easy to feel it as something almost living, something slow and kind, beginning down near your feet where the evening air has touched you most gently, then gathering there in a soft gold hush, as though the lantern has poured a little of its glow across the floorboards and into the stillness around your shoes, your soles, your heels. From there, very slowly, that warmth seems to rise, not in any rush, not all at once, but in the same quiet measure as the rain, a gradual golden ease moving up through your feet and into your ankles, smoothing away the memory of the path, the dampness, the distance, then drifting farther into your calves, with such a mild and steady comfort that each breath seems to make more room for it, more room for that soft inner glow to continue upward, through your knees, through your legs, until the whole lower half of you feels settled and familiar, as if you have sat on this bench many evenings before, and always been welcomed in exactly this way. The cabin at your back remains steady, the porch remains dry, the rain remains soft, and the lantern keeps pouring that untroubled amber around you, around your lap, around your chest, until the warmth that began so low and small reaches the center of you and lingers there, gently spreading, gently resting, turning the whole journey into something already behind you, something already softened into memory, while what remains now is only this wooden bench, this warm circle of light, this cool sweetness at your feet, and the deeply quiet feeling of having arrived, fully, safely, and slowly enough for your whole body to believe it. Chapter 6. Rain on the Eaves. The rain on the eaves has its own small music now, softer than footsteps, softer than thought, a tender tapping and brushing overhead that never asks for attention, and yet seems to fill the whole porch with rhythm, with repetition, with the simplest kind of company. And as you rest on the bench beside the door, held by the cabin behind you and the lantern beside you, that sound begins to loosen everything into gentler shapes, into gentler spaces, into a long, easy hush, where one quiet moment seems to fold into the next, and then into the next, slowly and slowly. The lantern keeps its steady circle without change, without strain, pouring amber over the door frame, over the grain of the porch boards, over the mist that drifts at the edge of the steps and turns faintly golden before fading back into grey. And there is something so restful in that steadiness, something so reassuring in the way the light simply stays where it is, holding the same calm centre while the rain falls beyond it, while the forest breathes beyond it, while the evening deepens beyond it, slowly, gently, almost as if the darkness itself has become soft around the edges. You sit within those repeating patterns, the rain above, the lantern beside, the stillness below, and the porch seems to float between the cabin and the woods, like a little raft of wood and warmth on a dark green sea of fern and mist. And because nothing here needs to change, because nothing here is asking anything more from you, it becomes easy to feel the lantern glow not only around you, but within you, moving in slow waves, unhurried, calm and unhurried, like a warm tide that knows exactly how to arrive. One quiet wave seems to pass through your feet and ankles, and then another through your calves, and then another, slower still, through your knees and thighs, each one leaving a little more softness behind, a little less weight, a little less shape, until your body feels less like something held upright and more like something gently cradled by wood, by air, by light, by rain, by the whole patient porch and all its small surrounding hush. Another wave drifts upward through the center of you, warm and golden, and it does not stop there. It simply moves as slowly as the mist moves through the trees, as slowly as rainwater slips from one edge of the roof to another, passing through your chest, your shoulders, your arms, your hands resting quiet in your lap, leaving every place it touches a little gentler than before, and then gentler still, as if the glow is not filling you so much as smoothing you, settling you, making everything quieter inside, in the same way the rain makes everything quieter outside. And the longer you listen, the less the sounds seem separate, because the tapping on the eaves, and the faint patter beyond the porch, and the still flame inside the lantern, all belong to one slow pattern now, one soft repeating pattern, and you rest inside it, and rest inside it again, while the mist lingers pale beyond the railing, and the porch boards hold their warmth, and the cabin stays steady at your back, and the lantern glow moves in those calm, slow waves through you, again and again, slowly and kindly, until each passing moment leaves you heavier with ease, lighter with thought, and more willing to drift nowhere at all except deeper into that warm circle, deeper into the rain, deeper into the quiet that has already begun to feel endless. Beyond that warm circle of porch light, the fern-lined path still lingers softly in the rain, faded now into moss, mist, and dim green quiet. Chapter 7. Moss and Mist. Beyond the porch, the fern-lined path is still there, though it has faded now into softer shapes, into dim green and grey, into a distance that no longer asks anything of you at all, because you have already come far enough, and the little path through the dripping undergrowth can simply remain where it is, half lost in mist, half held by shadow, while you stay exactly here, where the boards are warm beneath you, where the roof keeps the rain gentle, where the air is cool and silver and easy to breathe. The forest has become quieter without truly growing silent, and that makes the quiet feel deeper, because you still hear the fine, steady hush of rain slipping through branches, and the faint tapping of droplets from leaf to leaf, and the softer dripping from the porch edge into the moss below, each sound small, each sound rounded, each sound seeming to arrive from far away and very close at once, until the whole evening feels wrapped in one long, unbroken breath. The mist drifts between the trunks in pale ribbons, moving so slowly that it hardly seems to move at all, and the ferns along the path bow under beads of water that catch what remains of the lantern glow, and then lose it again, and catch it again, little points of gold appearing and fading, as though the night itself were blinking more slowly now, growing heavier, more drowsy, more willing to rest in its own stillness. You remain inside that stillness, and after a while it seems that the warmth you have been carrying is no longer only around you, but within you too, a gentle golden feeling gathered at the center of your chest, calm and unhurried, and from there it begins to spread in quiet waves, slowly, so slowly, flowing outward through your shoulders, loosening them from whatever faint effort remained there, then down through your arms, through your elbows and wrists and hands, until even your fingers feel as though they are resting in warm light, resting and sinking, with nothing left to hold. The same softness rises upward too, from your chest to your neck, easing that small hidden work of simply being upright, easing it kindly, and then into your face, around your jaw, your cheeks, the space behind your eyes, until every tiny effort you did not know you were carrying seems to melt into the hush of the rain, into the pale mist beyond the railing, into the slow and steady safety of the porch. The path out there fades a little more, and the trees fade a little more, and even the shapes of the forest seem content to become less distinct, less named, less necessary, while the rain keeps falling in that tender way, and the damp earth keeps giving up its cool green scent, and the moss below darkens into velvet, and the lantern beside you glows with that same patient gold, never bright, never sharp, only warm enough to soften the edges of everything it touches. And so you do not watch the forest so much as rest beside it, while the mist lingers, and the rain whispers, and the path disappears into a gentle blur, and the golden quiet within you moves again and again through your shoulders, your arms, your neck, your face, until wonder itself has nowhere else to go except into rest, and rest has nowhere else to go except deeper and deeper still, slowly, very slowly, into the soft, endless hush. Chapter 8. At the warm door. At last there is almost nothing left but the warm porch door at your back, the quiet lantern near your side, and the rain continuing beyond the railing in one soft and steady veil, as though the whole night has settled into its final shape, and that shape is simple and kind and perfectly enough. The door holds a deep stored warmth, the kind old wood keeps after a long evening of shelter, and without turning, you can feel it there, close and steady, a calm presence behind you, while the lantern glow beside you has gentled into something lower, softer, honey-colored and slow, laying only the faintest gold across the boards, across the edge of the railing, across the drifting mist, where it reaches and then disappears. Nothing asks to be noticed sharply now. The path is gone into shadow. The trees are only breathing shapes. The ferns only darker softness below the rain. And the rain itself is no longer many sounds, but one sound, one long hush, one tender unbroken murmur that seems to fill the night and then smooth it flat and keep smoothing until thought has less and less to catch on. And in that quiet, it begins to feel as though the lantern light is no longer beside you at all, but around you, beneath you, through you, a warm golden pool gathering under every part of you at once, holding your feet, your legs, your hips, your back, your hands, your shoulders, your head, until your whole body seems to be resting inside it, floating in it almost, though even floating is too much movement, because this is gentler than that, slower than that, more like being completely supported by warmth, completely received by it, completely home within it. The rain goes on, soft and even, and the lantern fades a little more, and the door behind you stays warm, and the golden light stays warm, and your body stays heavy in that warmth, easy in that warmth, safe in that warmth, as if every last edge has been softened, every last effort set down, every last small bright thought dimmed to the color of amber, and then dimmed again. You rest there, inside the hush, inside the gold, inside the feeling of being held without needing to hold anything back. The porch boards are still beneath you. The rain is still beyond you. The door is still warm at your back. The lantern is still keeping watch, though now its glow seems farther away, and lower, and slower, as though it too were drifting toward sleep. And your mind follows that same slow drifting, a little quieter, and quieter still, a little farther from words, a little farther from shape. Only warmth now, and rain, only gold and dark, only the soft shelter of the porch, the faint scent of wet wood and moss, the last low halo of lantern light spread all around you like a calm, shallow pool, and you resting in it completely, without effort, without urgency, without even the need to follow the scene any longer, because the scene has already become sleep, and the rain has already become sleep, and the warm door, and the fading glow, and the whole gentle night around the cabin has already softened into that deep and dreamless place where thought grows thin and thinner, and slowly, softly disappears. You feel yourself drifting a little deeper now, as the last warm glow of the cabin door grows softer and softer behind your eyes. The rain that touched the roof and the path has become only a hush, a tender murmur folding into sleep. The ferns, the lantern light, the quiet wooden porch all settle gently around you, then farther away, like something already dreamt. And when you open your eyes again, It is not with any sharp beginning, only with the feeling that your rest has carried you somewhere nearby and peaceful. You find yourself on a narrow path behind the herb garden, where the air is cool with rosemary and mint, and a shallow stream moves beside you with a low, silver sound. Above, spruce branches drip softly after the rain, each drop joining the stillness rather than breaking it. Everything is close, green, and calm, as though the night itself has led you here to continue resting. Chapter 1. The Garden Gate. You step beyond the cabin door, and the world just outside it opens in a quiet, rain-washed bloom. The herb garden spreading around you in soft rows and raised beds, every leaf deepened by recent weather, every stem holding a little more fragrance than it did before the rain fell, as if the whole garden has been steeping slowly in cool water and green silence. Rosemary rises first, clear and resinous, with its clean, pine-like scent, and then mint follows, bright and damp and sweet against the air, and beneath it all there is the darker, earthier breath of thyme, rain dark and low to the soil, warm with memory even in the coolness of the evening. The path between the beds is soft under your feet, not muddy, only yielding a little, the soil loosened and darkened, the edges of each stone shining faintly where droplets still cling, and when you move forward, you hear the smallest sounds around you, the delicate brushing of wet leaves against your clothing, the hush of water slipping from one broad herb leaf onto another, the gentle settling of the garden after rain. Everything seems softened, as though the air itself has taken on a muted green tint from the leaves and stems and mossy boards, and the light that filters down through the clouds rests lightly on the garden without asking anything of it. You pass lavender bowed with moisture, sage thick and velvety under beads of silver water, parsley bright as little fans of green glass, and as you move among them, the fragrances gather and loosen and gather again, drifting around you in quiet layers. Mint and rosemary, damp soil and crushed stems, the faint mineral coolness of stone, the fresh and almost hidden scent of rain still resting on wood. The cabin remains just behind you, familiar and warm, but here, at the far end of the last raised bed, your attention begins to settle on something gentler still, a quiet motion beyond the herbs, something narrow and pale moving through the shadows. Just past the final line of time, where the garden's neat shape begins to soften into ferns and low grass, you notice a stream, shallow and clear, slipping over smooth pebbles with a sound so light it seems to belong to the air as much as to the water, a silver thread drawn carefully through the green. Beside it runs a narrow trail, little more than a soft passage where the ground has been pressed down by time and weather, edged with clover and wet moss, and the occasional flat stone shining darkly beneath a veil of droplets. You pause there for a moment, breathing in the cool herbal air, and the stream keeps moving beside the garden, as if it has always been there, patient, unhurried, waiting only to be noticed. Its voice is low and easy, a steady little language of water over stone, and something about that sound, and the hush behind the last garden bed, and the dim green light waiting beneath the overhanging branches, draws you onward with a calm and effortless curiosity. So you step through the small opening where the garden gives way to the trail, leaving behind the ordered rows of rosemary and mint, though their fragrance still follows you for a little while, woven into the coolness around your shoulders, and ahead of you the path bends softly beside the stream into the green hush waiting behind the herb garden, where the air is cooler, the light is lower, and everything seems ready to welcome you slowly, quietly, exactly as you are. Chapter 2. Under the spruce. You follow the slim path as it curves beside the stream, and almost at once the garden begins to soften behind you, not disappearing, only growing gentler and more distant, its rosemary and mint now just a faint sweetness in the cool air, while ahead the trail slips under spruce boughs that hang low and still, their dark needles holding the rain in long shining lines before letting it fall, one drop at a time, onto leaves, onto stones, onto the quiet skin of the water. The sound is steady and delicate, a silver rhythm, slow enough to notice, soft enough to lean into, and with each step you feel yourself entering a place where everything moves without hurry. The stream keeps pace at your side, close enough that you can hear its changing textures, the small, glossy glide where it passes over sand, the faint chime where it touches pebbles, the rounder murmur where it tucks beneath roots and emerges again, bright and clear. Now and then a drop falls from a spruce tip and lands with the lightest tap on a broad leaf, and then another follows somewhere farther on, and another, each sound separate, each one cushioned by moss, by damp bark, by the soft wet floor of the woods. The air beneath the branches is cooler here, resting against your cheeks and hands with a fresh and even gentleness, carrying the scent of rain-soaked needles, green wood, and clean stone. Your footsteps grow quieter as the path narrows, each one settling into the softened earth with a muted, almost velvety sound, heel and toe, never sharp, never heavy, just a calm little pattern that joins the dripping branches and the moving stream. In places, the ground is scattered with spruce needles, springy and dark, and in others it is lined with small leaves pressed flat by rain, their surfaces slick and deep in colour, olive and moss and shadowed jade. You duck slightly beneath one low bough, though even that movement feels unhurried, almost playful. as if the trail is inviting you to move with it rather than through it, and the droplets that fall nearby keep time in their own slow way, branch to leaf, leaf to stone, stone to water. The cabin is still behind you somewhere, and you can feel its presence as a kind of remembered warmth, but it no longer asks for your attention. It rests in the softened distance now, while this path, this narrow streamside ribbon under the spruce, becomes the whole gentle shape of the moment. The light has changed here too, filtered through needles and cloud and damp air, until it arrives in quiet shades of green and grey, muted and tender, touching the stream in brief silver slips, and laying itself across the path in soft patches that seem to breathe with the woods. You walk through that light slowly, and the trail walks with you, and the stream walks with you, and the dripping branches keep their patient rhythm above, so that everything feels companionable and easy, step by step, drop by drop, breath by breath. And as you go on beneath the spruce, with cool air around you, and the stream moving faithfully at your side, your steps become lighter, smaller somehow, more at ease, as though the path has shown you its pace, and you have quietly accepted it, carrying nothing except the simple pleasure of moving forward through wet leaves, dim green light, and the slow silver music of rain still falling from the branches. Chapter 3. The Footbridge. Around the next gentle bend, where the path curves closer to the stream, and the spruce branches lean low as though listening to the water, you come upon a little wooden footbridge, small and simple, and perfectly at home here, spanning the narrow run of silver current with such quiet certainty that it seems less built than placed, as though the forest had made room for it long ago, and the rain had spent many seasons teaching it how to belong. The boards are dark with recent weather, deep brown, almost black in the dim green light, and when you step onto them, you feel the smooth slickness of the wood beneath your shoes, firm and steady, faintly cool, holding the memory of the rain in its grain, while one hand comes to rest against the railing, where the surface is rounded and worn silken by years of weather and touch, wet enough to shine, soft enough to feel kind beneath your palm. You pause there without needing any reason beyond the simple fact that it is a good place to pause, and below you the stream continues on, unhurried, clear and brown and silver all at once, slipping beneath the bridge in quiet folds, gathering itself around the dark posts, then loosening again into small, wavering ripples that widen and vanish and widen again, each one dissolving so gently that the water never seems disturbed, only slightly rearranged, only briefly persuaded into another shape. A few leaves drift under the boards, some yellow, some copper, some still deep green and rain-heavy, turning slowly as they travel, caught for a moment, where the current curls beside the post, then released again into the onward movement of the stream, and you find there is something so easy in watching them go, each leaf accepted by the water exactly as it is, each one carried without hurry, without effort, around the bend and out of sight beneath ferns and hanging roots. All around you, the forest has settled into a hush so complete that every small sound seems tender. The faint ticking of droplets falling from cedar tips, the soft threaded murmur of water passing over stone, the distant rustle of a branch easing back after rain, the quiet touch of your sleeve against the railing as you shift your weight a little and lean there, looking down through the gaps between the boards, where the stream glimmers and darkens and glimmers again. The air is cool against your cheeks, touched with the green scent of wet stems and crushed leaves and rich black soil, and somewhere nearby there is the clean mineral smell that rises wherever moving water meets stone, fresh and gentle and almost sweet, so that breathing it feels as natural as listening, and listening feels as natural as standing here above the current, held between the stillness of the bridge and the constant tender motion below. For a while, the little details become enough. The curve of water around wood, the leaf drifting and turning, the rain-dark rail beneath your hand, the faint silver flicker where light catches the stream and then slips away, and with nothing more asked of you than to remain here for another quiet moment, you rest easily in the simple company of forest, bridge, and water, until even your thoughts seem to drift as softly as the leaves passing underneath, moving on, moving slowly, carried forward by the same gentle, faithful flow.
Chapter 4. The Mossy Bend. Just beyond the bridge, the path narrows for a few easy steps and then opens again at a sheltered bend in the stream, where the bank widens into a soft green hollow tucked beneath roots and fern fronds. And the place feels immediately welcoming, as though it has been waiting in its own quiet way, holding a small pause in the forest for whoever might come along slowly enough to notice it. The moss there is thick and springy, bright in some places, deep velvet dark in others where the rain has settled, and it spreads over the earth and around the roots in gentle folds, softening every edge, turning wood and stone and soil into one calm resting place beside the water, while the roots of an old tree rise through it like smooth brown lines beneath a green blanket, curved and steady and reassuring under the dim afternoon hush. You move toward it with the natural care that such a place invites. And when you settle there, close enough to hear the stream clearly but far enough from its edge to feel entirely safe, the ground receives your weight without complaint, without shift, only a quiet firmness beneath the softness, a steady support that seems to travel up through you at once, through your shoes, through the soles of your feet, through the stillness of your legs as you let yourself become part of the bend, part of the moss, part of the waiting green calm beside the water. The air remains cool around your shoes and ankles, touched by the stream, and yet within that coolness another sensation begins almost unnoticed, a small warmth deep in your feet, not sudden, not bright, only a quiet warming, as though the steadiness of the earth beneath you is slowly answering the coolness above it, and your feet, having carried you this far along wet path and bridge and rain-soft ground, are now allowed to rest in that answer. to soften into it, to grow pleasantly warm. That warmth seems to gather there for a little while, lingering in your heels and arches and toes. And then, with the same patient pace as the stream itself, it rises, gently, gently, into your ankles and upward through your calves, easing through them like something familiar returning, something slow and welcome, loosening the small tired places you had not needed to notice until now, smoothing them with such care that even stillness begins to feel warmer, deeper, more complete. Nearby, the water moves on with its steady, low music, never loud, never far, just enough to fill the spaces between the softer sounds, the drip from a root tip, the faint brush of leaves touching one another, the light hush of breeze passing through wet fern heads, and all of it seems to settle around you rather than over you, gathering close without crowding, making a kind of shelter made only of sound, cool air, moss sand, and green dimness. You notice the texture beneath one hand, the tiny plush of moss, cool on the surface and warmer underneath, dense and living and slightly damp, yielding a little, then holding. And there is something deeply comforting in that balance, in softness with strength beneath it, in the way the ground stays so dependable while the stream keeps moving nearby, one offering steadiness, the other offering flow, each gentle in its own way, each enough. And as the warmth continues its slow, quiet path through your calves, while the cool air lingers around your shoes and the stream keeps speaking in its low silver voice, you rest more completely into the mossy bend, into the rooted earth, into the simple certainty of being held here for a little while, safe and still beside the water, with the forest around you growing softer, and softer, and your whole lower body seeming to remember, slowly, how easy it is to let the ground carry what you no longer need to hold. Chapter 5. Beside the rail. For a little while longer you remain in that mossy bend beside the stream, while the softness that gathered around your calves and ankles keeps widening, keeps deepening, until it seems only natural to shift a little nearer to the bridge, to where the weathered rail waits above the water, smooth in some places, cool in others, carrying the faint damp chill of the rain-washed air. And as you settle there, with one shoulder close to the wood and the stream moving below in its low and steady silver rhythm, you notice how the scents around you have changed without hurry. How the herb garden behind you still lingers in the air with its crushed mint sweetness and dark wet earth. Yet now that fragrance has thinned into the forest and mingled with colder notes, with the clean mineral breath of water, with spruce resin warmed by memory and cooled again by mist, with the green and quiet smell of boards that have stood through many seasons and never needed to be anything other than still. The trail feels close around you here, not narrow, not confining, only close in the gentle way of shelter, as if the bridge, the bank, the rail, the roots beneath the moss, and the patient trees beyond have all drawn themselves together to make a small resting place exactly where you are. And while the water continues beneath, touching stone after stone, never rushed, never delayed, the ease that had been resting low in your legs begins to travel a little farther, slowly, like warmth spreading through cloth, moving upward through your knees, softening behind them, then higher through your thighs, through the quiet strength of your hips, where so much of the day is often held without being noticed. And now, here beside the rail, there is nothing for those places to hold, nothing that must be balanced or carried. Because the ground is steady beneath you, the wood is steady beside you, the sound of water is steady below you, and all the steadiness around you begins to feel as though it belongs to you too. Your lower back seems to understand this next, releasing by degrees, almost imperceptibly at first, then more completely, the muscles along either side of the spine loosening like dark soil after rain, while a softer heaviness settles through the middle of you, pleasant and warm, and your breath joins the scene without effort, rising and falling in its own quiet measure as the stream keeps its own measure beneath. One rhythm beside another. One gentle repetition meeting the next. Until your shoulders also begin to lower. Slowly. Slowly. As if the faint resin in the air and the cool touch of the rail have reminded them that they do not need to lift toward anything now. Even your shoulder blades seem to unfasten, broadening across your back, while the nape of your neck grows easy, and you remain there in the damp green hush, with mint and wet earth behind you, cold water below, spruce all around, and the whole trail seeming to hold you in place with a patient, rooted kindness, not asking you to stay, simply making it so easy to stay, so easy to rest, that the thought of moving fades on its own. And all that remains is the calm wooden rail, the silver voice of the stream, the deepening softness through your body, and the slow, warm certainty that you are being carried without moving at all.
Chapter 6. Waterlines. The bridge stays with you for a little while longer, its wooden rail warm beneath your hands, as the stream below settles into a softer rhythm, drawing your attention to the quiet pattern of water moving past stone, and less anything that needs naming. The stream passes, and passes, and passes, slowly. The droplets fall, and fall, and fall, slowly. The forest breathes around you in long, soft repetitions, and you drift with them, with your chest warm, your arms warm, your hands warm, and your thoughts growing lighter each time they near the water, until they scarcely feel like thoughts at all, only faint shapes dissolving into the silver murmur below, only small things being carried gently onward, leaving you here beside the rail, held in the softest part of the evening, slowly, very slowly, becoming quieter too. Chapter 7. The Green Hush.
The trail no longer seems to lead anywhere at all. And that is what makes it feel so kind now. Because beneath the dim green light, beside the slow silver thread of water, it becomes less a path and more a place to rest within. A narrow cradle of earth and moss and softened branches where everything has already settled for the evening. And where you, without needing to decide a single thing, can simply remain. Quietly held in the gentle hush that gathers behind the herb garden and drifts beneath the trees. The banks on either side of the stream look rounder now, as if the day has been smoothed away from them, and the branches overhead, dark with moisture, hang low and easy, releasing the occasional drop that falls without hurry into fern, into moss, into the dark ribbon of water below, each sound so small, so softened by mist and distance, that it seems less like a sound than a part of the silence itself. And all around you that silence deepens, green and cool and tender, filled not with emptiness but with a quiet so complete it feels almost velvety, almost warm. The last of the warmth that began in your feet and drifted upward now reaches your calves again in a softer way, less like movement and more like memory. As though the trail itself remembers how to let every part of you grow heavy and light at once. And slowly, very slowly, that easy warmth passes through your knees and settles there, loosening them. Then through your thighs and hips, where the muscles soften as gently as the soaked earth at the stream's edge. And then through your stomach and chest, where each breath lifts and falls with hardly any effort at all. Calm and slow and low, like mist rising and folding back down over quiet water. Your shoulders no longer seem to carry anything, and your arms rest in their own easy stillness, warm from the upper arms to the elbows, from the elbows to the wrists, from the wrists to the hands, until even your fingers feel unhurried, each one loose and quiet, as though the deep green dimness has reached them too, as though the same soft evening that has settled over bark and leaf and water has settled there, and there, and there, one small place after another, until nothing in you is braced against the night. Then that warmth drifts upward once more, slowly, slowly, into your neck, where it unties the last small knots of the day, and into your jaw, which loosens without effort, into your cheeks, which soften, into the space around your eyes, where your brow grows smooth as still water under shadow, and higher still to your temples and forehead and the quiet crown of your head, until it feels as though a pale mist has risen through you and beyond you, leaving you airy, almost weightless, almost as light as the faint silver breath floating above the stream. You notice how the green light has become more muted still, how it has thinned into a dreamy dusk beneath the branches, how every leaf now looks edged with softness rather than shape, and how the stream, though you cannot see every ripple clearly anymore, continues its delicate murmur below, carrying the evening onward while asking nothing from you, asking nothing at all. And so you stay as you are, your face smooth, your hands warm, your thoughts quieter than the dripping branches, quieter than the ferns along the bank, until even the feeling of being awake begins to blur around the edges, and you rest in that green hush, slowly, very slowly, as though the forest were rocking you without moving. Now the green hush narrows gently into the sound of the stream, until there is almost nothing left but the water, the darkness, and the deep safe feeling of being tucked here beside it behind the herb garden. And out, softly, with no effort, no need to deepen it, no need to change it, only the feeling of it easing through you while the warmth already gathered in your body begins once more at your feet, now gentler than before, almost blended with the dark itself, filling the soles of your feet with quiet, then the arches, then the heels, so that they feel wrapped and sheltered, as though the night has made a small warm place for them to disappear into. And from there the warmth rises, very slowly, through your ankles and calves, through your knees and thighs, and each place it reaches becomes softer, less distinct, less interested in holding shape, until your legs feel as though they are resting somewhere deeper than the trail, somewhere below thought, below effort, below even the sense of time, and still the stream murmurs on, tender and even, and still the darkness around the banks grows smoother, fuller, more complete. Your hips and lower back settle, your stomach settles, your chest settles, and the warmth passes through them all like dim lantern light through dark fabric, muted and calm, never bright, never sharp, only enough to let every part of you unclench and quiet and sink, and your shoulders follow, and your arms follow, and your hands follow, until your whole body seems gathered into one slow exhale that never quite ends, one long soft letting go beside the water. The warmth reaches your throat, your neck, your jaw, and your mouth rests gently closed, your cheeks soft, your eyes soft beneath their lids, your brow smooth and untroubled, your temples quiet, and at last the crown of your head grows warm too, so that from feet to head there is nothing left to wake, nothing left to carry, only a calm fullness, a hush flowing upward as the stream flows onward, until inside and outside feel almost the same, almost joined by the dark. Now the cabin is only a faint idea somewhere beyond the herbs and the trees, and the bridge is only a pale memory over black water, and the trail itself is no longer a path at all, only softness beneath softness, only the place where you once paused before drifting farther inward, and the stream keeps going, quietly, quietly, while you remain tucked beside it, safe in the green dark hollow behind the garden, safe in the murmur, safe in the warmth, safe in the dark. In. And out. Slowly. The water moves on. In. And out. The branches hold still above you. The mist thins into night. And everything that brought you here grows dimmer. Lighter. Farther away. The stream goes on through the dark. And you go with it. Softly. Slowly. Until the trail fades. And the bridge fades. And the cabin fades. And there is only the soft murmur below. Only warmth from feet to head. Only darkness. Only safety. Only sleep.
You feel yourself drifting a little farther with the stream, as if its soft murmur carries you through the last folds of darkness, through the fading bridge, through the quiet garden, until even the water becomes only a distant, soothing memory. The cool hush of the trail grows warmer now, gentler, as though the night is drawing a blanket around you. And when you open your eyes, it is not fully waking, only a softer kind of dreaming. You find yourself resting in a cushioned nook beneath the sloping wooden eaves of the cabin's little library. Rain touches the window in the lightest pattern, and beyond the glass, the dark is calm and deep. Shelves of old books stand nearby, still and familiar, and the seat beneath you is warm with quilts and pillows. Here, everything is sheltered. Everything is quiet. And you settle more deeply into this small, peaceful corner, ready to drift on.
Chapter 1. Rain at the glass. You step into the cabin's small library, and the first thing you notice is the hush. A gentle hush made deeper by the soft tapping of rain against the window panes. By the faint creak of old wood settling somewhere above you. By the way the room seems to gather every sound and soften it, as though even the weather has decided to speak quietly here. Candlelight glows along the shelves in little golden pools, touching the worn edges of book spines, warming the dark grain of the wood, turning the glass fronts of the upper cabinets into dim mirrors that hold a trembling light. The air carries the clean, resin-sweet scent of cedar, and beneath it, something softer, wool perhaps, and old paper, and a trace of smoke drifting from the first steady warmth of the fire. You pause just inside the doorway, letting the room arrive around you slowly, and the stillness has a comforting shade to it, something you can almost feel resting against your shoulders, easing you inward, inviting you farther in. Beneath the low slope of the eaves, the little reading nook waits beside the rain-washed window, lined with folded blankets and thick cushions that look gently worn, as though they have remembered many quiet evenings and are ready to remember another. The blankets are brushed and soft, their colors muted in the candle glow. Cream, moss, deep brown, and faded red. And the wool throws over the side of the nook catch the firelight in a way that makes them seem warmer before you even touch them. You cross the room at an unhurried pace, and each floorboard gives a low, familiar murmur beneath your feet. Not sharp or startling, only the sound of a well-loved cabin settling comfortably around you. Rain threads down the glass in slender silver lines, blurring the dark world outside into shadows and wet light. And now and then a fuller drop gathers, slips, and disappears beyond the lower edge of the window. Inside, everything feels contained and safe, held within cedar walls, within the glow of candles, within the gentle reach of the hearth where the fire has only just begun to strengthen, sending out its first real wave of warmth. When you lower yourself into the nook, the cushions receive you with an easy softness, the blankets shifting with a quiet rustle. The whole little space fitting around you as though it had been waiting in patient silence for this exact moment. The wool is warm where it has caught the room's heat, and the wood of the window frame is cool near your shoulder. A pleasant contrast. Cool and warm. Rain and fire. Candlelight and shadow. You breathe in the cedar again. Richer here. Mixed with the faint sweetness of old pages and melted wax. And the rain continues its steady tapping just beyond the glass. A patient rhythm. Close enough to hear every delicate note. Soft enough that each one seems to drift into the next. The fire gives a small crackle from across the room, and a low amber light stirs along the edges of the shelves. Somewhere in the rafters, the cabin settles once more with a long, sleepy creak. You gather the blanket a little closer, feeling its weight across your lap, and the whole library seems to draw itself inward around you, quieter and warmer, as the rain keeps tapping at the glass, and the candles keep glowing, and the evening begins to hold you very gently. Chapter 2. Among the shelves. You let your gaze wander slowly across the small library, and the room seems to open itself in quiet details, one after another, never all at once, only gently, as though it prefers to be noticed in a calm and patient way. The shelves are close and solid, built into the walls beneath the sloping eaves, their wood polished by time and by touch, smooth where hands have passed along the edges, darker in the corners where the candlelight does not quite reach. Books stand shoulder to shoulder in soft uneven lines, some tall and narrow, some broad and heavy, some leaning just slightly as though they have settled into familiar company. Their spines are worn in beautiful, quiet ways, cloth faded at the edges, gold lettering dimmed to a soft gleam, little cracks in old leather catching the light and releasing it again. Reflected firelight moves across brass drawer pulls and the glass fronts of a cabinet near the hearth. Not in quick flashes. Only in gentle flickers that rise and fade with the breathing of the flames. Each small reflection feels unhurried, and you find yourself watching them the way you might watch rain sliding down a window, with no need to follow any single movement for long. The fire crackles softly from its stone place, warm now in a steadier way, and every now and then a piece of wood shifts inward with the faintest sound, sending another quiet pulse of amber light through the room. It brushes the polished shelves, the edges of the books, the arm of the chair near the hearth, the rim of a candle dish, and then softens again. The rain outside has not changed, and that constancy makes the room feel even gentler, as if the whole evening has settled into a pattern that asks nothing of you. Tap at the glass. Crackle from the fire. The low stillness between them. And then once more. Rain and fire. Fire and rain. Beneath the blankets of the nook, you feel warm and tucked away, while your eyes continue their easy wandering, taking in a stack of books left on a small side table, their corners rounded with views, a brass lamp with a mellow shade, a cedar chest beneath the far shelf, the grain of its lid softly glowing like dark honey in the candlelight. The cabin feels lived in the kindest sense. Not crowded. Not arranged for display. Only cared for over time. Polished here. Mended there. Used gently and returned to rest. Even the books seem restful. Their pages closed. Their stories quiet for the night. Content simply to be near you. A few titles have nearly faded from their spines, and that only makes them seem softer somehow. Softer and older. Like objects that have passed through many calm evenings just like this one. The scent of cedar lingers around everything, joined now by the warmer scent of the fire and the faint dry sweetness of paper, and together they make the air feel deep and soothing. Your gaze drifts, Slowly. From shelf to shelf. From wood to brass. From candle glow to firelit glass. And the room continues to offer small details without hurry. Without end. Nothing here presses forward. Nothing asks to be solved. There is only the polished hush of the library. The patient rain beyond the window. The low crackle of the hearth. And the soft gathering of warmth around you. As the evening grows quieter. And the shelves seem to settle deeper into shadow and gold. And your quiet curiosity begins to soften into something slower. Heavier. And more restful still. Chapter 3. Tea and Cedar. A warm cup of tea finds its place within your hands. And at once the evening seems to gather more closely around you. As though the room itself has been waiting for this small and gentle addition. This quiet weight of porcelain. This rising thread of heat. This pale curl of steam that lifts and loosens into the candlelit air. You hold the cup near. Not in any hurry to drink. And simply feel the warmth moving inward through your palms. Through your fingers. Through the stillness that has settled so softly in you. While the fragrance of the tea drifts upward. Mild and herbal and faintly sweet. Mingling with the clean. Resin-bright scent of cedar from the shelves and beams. And with the soft sweetness of warmed candle wax. Everything in the library seems touched by that same calm blending. Every scent and every texture becoming less separate. More hushed. More whole. The cedar gives off its quiet, grounding fragrance. Dry and smooth and comforting. Like wood that has held years of rain and winters and low firelight without ever losing its simple steadiness. And the candles lend their faint honeyed note. Just enough to round the sharper edges of wood and paper. Just enough to make the air feel tender and lived in. The steam from the tea rises through it all in thin silver ribbons. Wavering for a moment in the amber glow before vanishing. Only to rise again. And again. Delicate and untroubled. You lift the cup a little closer. And the warmth deepens in your hands. It is such an easy warmth. Not sudden. Not fierce. Only patient. The kind that slowly reaches your fingertips and lingers there. Easing every small hold. Every unnoticed strain. Until your hands seem content simply to cradle that softness. The rim of the cup is smooth beneath your thumbs. The porcelain holding a quiet heat. And beneath it your lap. The seat cushion. The boards under the rug. The whole cabin around you seem to rest in layers. One gentle shelter inside another. Nearby. The fire continues its low murmur. A softer sound now than before. More ember than flame. More glow than crackle. It speaks in tiny settling whispers. In the quiet shift of wood giving way to coals. While above and beyond that, the rain keeps its patient rhythm against the window and the sloping roof over the eaves. A steady tapping. A softened pattern. As though the night itself were breathing against the glass. No sound arrives sharply here. Even the rain seems padded by distance and warm light. And the fire, for all its living brightness, has become almost velvety in its hush. You take a slow sip at last. And the tea moves through you with the same calm certainty as the warmth in your hands. It is gentle on your tongue. Soft in its flavor. Easy in its heat. And when you lower the cup again the steam brushes your face for a moment. Leaving the faintest trace of warmth near your cheeks. Near your lips. Before drifting upward toward the dim rafters. The candles burn steadily. The cedar breathes its clean sweetness. The rain continues without pause. Without pressure. Without end. And here, with the cup resting quietly in your hands, the whole room seems to exhale around you. Growing softer. Slower. Warmer still. Chapter 4. Into the nook. At last you ease yourself fully into the reading nook beneath the window eaves. And the cushions receive you at once. Softly. Completely. As though they have been holding their shape all evening for this very moment. The fabric is smooth in some places. Gently worn in others. And beneath it the padding gives way just enough to cradle you. Just enough to let you sink a little deeper. Until your shoulders settle. Your back settles. Your whole body seems to find the quiet outline that was waiting for it all along. Beside you the glass holds a dim reflection of candlelight. And beyond it the rain slides and taps and gathers in silver traces that catch the gold of the room. Then fade again into shadow. A wool blanket rests over your lap. And its weight is one of those simple comforts that asks nothing. Promises nothing. And yet somehow eases everything. It is not heavy. Only present. A steady warmth laid across you. Soft with use. Faintly textured. Carrying the clean dry smell of wool and the lingering warmth of the room. As you draw it a little closer, the edges settle around your knees and across your legs. And with that small settling your body seems to understand that there is nowhere else to go. Nothing else to do. Nowhere to lean except into this softness. Into this hush. Into this slow and sheltered hour. The cabin answers you in its own quiet way. A low creak from the beams above. A faint settling in the walls. The muted breath of the fire further back in the room. All of it slow. Familiar. Untroubled. The rain on the glass keeps its tender rhythm. Close enough to hear each soft tapping note. Far enough to feel blurred into one continuous sound. Like threads being laid over one another. Like 1,000 tiny fingers brushing the window and the roof and the dark leaves outside. The air near the pane is a little cooler. And yet here inside the nook. Beneath the eaves. With the blanket over you and the candlelight folding warmly across the cushions. You remain wrapped in an easy warmth. Without noticing exactly when it begins. Your breathing starts to lengthen to meet the room. In. The quiet rise of your chest. The soft lift beneath the blanket. The slow gathering of air as the rain murmurs over the glass. And out. The gentle release. The small settling deeper into the cushions. The sense of the whole nook lowering with you. Softly. Slowly. In. And the room seems to widen around that breath. Candlelight steady. Rain endless. The cabin holding itself in calm balance. Out. And everything grows a little heavier. A little quieter. A little more distant from effort. You rest there and feel that rhythm repeat. Not counted. Not forced. Only present. In. And the wool keeps its warm, familiar weight across your lap. Out. And your shoulders soften a little more. In. And the rain traces another delicate path down the window. Out. And the fire gives a low, almost sleepy murmur from across the room.
The nook beneath the eaves seems to rise and fall with you, the cushions yielding, the blanket settling, the whole small refuge breathing in its own unhurried way. Nothing changes, and because nothing changes, you can drift more deeply into the sameness of comfort. The soft cushion beneath you, the blanket across you, the rain on the glass, the slow cabin creaks, the candle glow resting on wood and book spines and window trim, all of it repeating gently, all of it remaining where it is, while your breath moves in and out. Slower now, quieter now, as though the night itself has drawn close enough to breathe beside you. and the nook beneath the eaves has become the softest place in the world to keep sinking slowly into rest.
Chapter 5. Blanket warmth. The fire reaches you in slow, patient waves now, not all at once, but in gentle layers that arrive and settle, until the warmth seems to know exactly how far to come, exactly how softly to rest against you. Touching the blanket first, then passing through its woven thickness, then sinking deeper, until even the still places in you begin to feel quietly warmed. The blanket lies over you with a pleasing weight, light enough to breathe beneath, heavy enough to reassure, its surface brushed and soft, its folds gathered near your hands and along your lap, holding the day's last little traces of cool air outside itself, keeping only warmth, only ease, only this sheltered comfort beneath the eaves. The cushions seem to hold you more completely than before, as though the nook has taken a little more care with you, learning the exact shape of your back, the angle of your shoulders, the easy bend of your knees beneath the blanket. And now there is less need to keep any part of yourself alert, less need to support your own resting, because the seat below you has already done that quiet work. Your shoulders sink a little lower without effort, releasing what they no longer need to carry. The small muscles around your neck begin to loosen, slowly, and the line of your jaw softens too, unclenching so gently that it is almost only a thought of softening, a whisper of release, and then it is simply so. You feel it move onward in this unhurried way. The easing, the softening, the slow permission to let go. Around your eyes there is less holding, less brightness, less need to keep the world sharply outlined. Your cheeks rest more heavily. Your mouth settles. Even your forehead seems to smooth beneath the candle's amber glow, as though the warm light itself were brushing over it, quieting it, leaving behind only stillness. Beneath the blanket, your arms grow pleasantly heavy, your hands uncurling into the fabric, fingertips finding the nap of it, the faint ridges in the weave, the simple comfort of something warm and familiar beneath them. Outside, rain continues its steady touch against the window, softened by glass, softened again by distance, until it becomes part of the room's breathing. And beneath that gentle patter the cabin gives its slow, old creaks. Wood adjusting to warmth, to weather, to the long calm of evening. The scent of cedar and old paper and melted wax lingers around you, warm and slightly sweet. And somewhere close by the fire settles with a soft murmur, a low shifting sound. Then quiet again. Then quiet again. And with each small sound, each soft wave of warmth, the rest of you follows. Your chest rises and falls more easily. Your back settles deeper. Your hips release into the cushions. Your legs, tucked beneath the blanket, seem to lengthen into rest, their weight given over completely, all the little efforts in them dissolving one by one, until there is no strain left in your calves, none in your ankles, none even in your feet. Only warmth there, only softness, only the protected feeling of being fully enclosed, fully held, while the fire glows, and the rain repeats, and the nook beneath the window eaves keeps gathering you more gently, more completely, into its quiet. Chapter 6. The quiet rhythm. Now there is very little left to do except listen. And even that feels softer than listening once did, because the sounds around you no longer ask for attention. They simply continue, gently, faithfully. And you rest inside them as easily as you rest inside the blanket, inside the cushions, inside the small warm shelter of the nook. Rain touches the window in 1,000 tiny patterns that somehow become one pattern. One soft repeating hush. And beneath it the fire answers in its own low way. A murmur. A settling. A small breath of heat through the room. And the old cabin, wrapped around all of it, gives the occasional quiet creak from beam or floorboard or eave, as though wood itself were nodding. Slowly. Slowly. Into the night. It is the sameness of it that soothes you now. The kind sameness. The unchanging rhythm. The sound returning as it was before and returning again. Each time a little softer. Each time a little farther away. Though it remains right here. Rain on the glass. The fire's dim murmur. The patient hush of the room. Rain on the glass. The fire's dim murmur. The patient hush of the room. And as the pattern repeats, your body seems to follow it, slipping deeper not by effort but by agreement, as though every part of you has decided, quietly and all at once, that it may become heavier now. Your head rests more fully where it is supported, no longer holding itself up in even the smallest way. The muscles at the base of your skull loosen. Then the softness spreads down through your neck and outward across your shoulders again. Deeper this time. Until your arms feel pleasantly weighted. As though they are sinking through warmth rather than simply lying still. Beneath the blanket your hands are so calm now. So still. Fingers resting in their natural curve. And the blanket itself feels warmer than before. Warmer and softer. Its edges tucked around you like something patient and protective that expects nothing at all except that you keep resting. And keep sinking. Slowly. The fire sends another low wash of warmth across the room. And it reaches you like a memory of sunlight through closed curtains. Dimmer. Gentler. Made for evening. Made for quiet. Your chest moves with such little effort now. In. And out. Slowly. And more slowly still. While your back settles another small degree into the cushions. And your hips grow heavier. And your legs grow heavier. And then even heavier than that. Until they seem less like something you must carry and more like part of the nook itself. Wrapped in warmth. Wrapped in stillness. Wrapped in the deepening hush. Nothing interrupts the rhythm. Nothing needs to. The rain continues. Soft and repeating. The fire continues. Low and repeating. The cabin continues. Safe and repeating. And inside that steady pattern, the last small places in you that once remained wakeful begin to loosen too. Slowly. Almost invisibly. Until your whole body feels gathered into one quiet heaviness. One gentle downward drift. As though the night were laying soft layers over you. One after another. Each softer than the last. Each slower than the last. While the room glows dimly around you and the sounds keep returning. Keep repeating. Keep rocking you. Slowly and slowly. Into rest. Chapter 7. Heavier and still. The warmth that had gathered around you so patiently now seems to settle more deeply. And then, little by little, to travel. Beginning at your feet where the thick softness beneath the blanket holds every small weight so completely. Where your toes no longer feel separate from the warm hush around them. And the soles of your feet seem steeped in comfort. As if they have been resting there for a very long time. With the rain at the panes keeping its quiet pattern. Its soft and familiar tapping. Never asking anything of you. Only continuing. Only repeating. Only reminding the whole little nook that the night outside is wide and gentle. While here, beneath the eaves, everything is sheltered and still. And from your feet the warmth drifts upward, slowly, through your ankles and into your calves, loosening whatever faint effort once lingered there, until your legs feel pleasantly heavy, warmly weighted. The way a body feels when it no longer needs to hold itself ready for anything at all. And your knees soften into that same heaviness, your thighs sinking more completely into the cushions, your hips settling deeper, deeper, as though the nook has shaped itself exactly to you, as though it has been waiting all evening to hold you like this, without strain, without shift, without any need to move. The blanket lies over you with that perfect cabin warmth. Not too much. Only enough. Enough to make the cool memory of the rainy evening feel far away now. And beneath it your hips, your lower back, your middle back, all the quiet length of you resting against the seat and the pillows, begin to feel gathered into one long line of comfort, supported from below, softened from around, while the fire beyond the room's edge gives off its low cedar heat. A heat that does not flicker so much now as glow. And the candle nearby has grown smaller, steadier, its golden light dim at the edges, tender on the wood grain, tender on the old book spines, tender on the silver rain threading down the glass. Your shoulders ease next, so gradually that you barely notice the moment they stop holding even their smallest burden. And your arms grow still beside you, your elbows heavy, your wrists quiet, your hands resting wherever they happen to fall, effortless, open, as though even your fingers have learned the rhythm of the rain and no longer wish to do anything but remain warm and motionless in it. While your neck softens into the cushion, your jaw unfastens, your cheeks loosen, and the space around your eyes grows calm and dark and easy. All the while the rain continues, steady and unhurried, touching the panes in soft repeating lines, then slipping away, then returning, the same and not the same, over and over. And under that sound your whole body seems to drift farther into its own quiet weight, each part warming, each part settling, each part becoming stiller than before, until there is hardly any difference between the warmth in the nook and the warmth moving through you. Hardly any difference between the support beneath you and the heaviness flowing gently upward through your body. Slowly, slowly, until even the last little brightness of wakefulness dims into something softer, something lower, something almost sleep already, while the rain keeps tapping, and the fire keeps glowing, and you rest there beneath the eaves, heavier and still. Chapter 8. Rest beneath the eaves. Now the little nook seems made of only a few quiet things. The rain, the fading candle, the low warmth of the fire, the deep cushions beneath you, and all of them begin to feel less separate, less like different comforts gathered in one place, and more like one gentle shelter, one golden hush all around you, one calming closing softness that holds the curve of the window, the wood of the shelves, the blanket over your body, and the slow drifting of your thoughts, until everything belongs to the same stillness, and you belong to it too. The candlelight has grown dim and honey soft, just enough to leave a warm glow along the edge of the blanket, along the varnished sill, along the rain-marked pane where the world outside has become only darkness and sheen and quiet motion. And that faint golden glow seems to spread, not only through the little space around you, but through you as well. As if light itself has turned warm and weightless and begun to drift gently from the window and the fire and the candle into your resting body, moving slowly through your feet, slowly through your legs, slowly through your middle, filling every inward place with the same calm color, the same sleepy warmth, until there is no sharp edge left anywhere in you. You hear the rain, Softly. And softly. And softly again. A hush against the panes. A hush beneath the eaves. A hush that never breaks. Only continues in its quiet way. And somewhere beneath that hush the fire gives a low settling murmur. Barely more than a breath of sound. While the room itself seems to breathe with you. Slowly in. And slowly out. Slowly in. And slowly out. The blanket rising almost imperceptibly. The warmth returning with each easy breath. The heaviness deepening with each easy breath. Until even breathing feels less like something you do and more like something the sheltered night is doing for you. The golden softness keeps drifting. Keeps spreading. Keeps passing through you in slow quiet waves. And wherever it goes, thought grows dimmer. Simpler. Farther away. As though each small thought is wrapped in warmth and laid gently down. One after another. Until there is no need to follow anything. No need to remember anything. No need to hold on to any clear shape at all. Only this warm color behind closed eyes. This rain at the glass. This fire soft air. This sense of being completely held. And the nook beneath the eaves holds you so fully now. So kindly. That comfort becomes the only thing left. Comfort and warmth and the faint gold drifting through the dark. While the candle lowers. While the rain continues. While the night folds itself more softly around the roof and the windows and the sleeping house. And you sink a little farther. And a little farther. Slowly. Slowly. Into that perfect sheltered quiet where everything is safe. Everything is warm. Everything is soft. And sleep. Already so near. So gentle. So ready. Finally gathers you into itself. You feel yourself drifting a little deeper still. As the reading nook beneath the window eaves grows softer and farther away. Its blanket warmth and candle glow folding gently into the same quiet that already holds you. The pages rest. The shelves fade into shadow. And the rain that touched the window seems to linger. Steady and kind. As if it has been waiting to carry you onward without ever disturbing your rest. And when you open your eyes, it is only in that dreamy, half-sleep way. As though you have not truly left one shelter but simply found another. Now you are tucked into a small loft bed beneath the cabin roof. Wrapped in blankets above the fading hearth. Below. The last amber warmth rises in slow, sleepy breaths. Above. Rain pats softly on the roof. Close and soothing. Everything feels wooden. Warm. And safe. And you settle there as easily as a sigh. Chapter 1. Under the roof. You arrive at the small loft bed tucked beneath the sloping cabin roof. And at once there is the soft, unmistakable sound of rain resting above you. Not harsh. Not hurried. Only a steady pattern of tiny taps and hushes that gather across the shingles and drift down through the wood as a gentle presence. As if the whole night has settled there to keep watch while you do nothing at all. The space is low and close in the kindest way. Shaped by angled beams and warm boards. By cedar that still holds its clean, resin-sweet scent. By the faint trace of wood smoke rising from the hearth below. By the coolness of damp night air lingering at the edges of the loft where the dark feels deep and quiet and entirely safe. You ease into the bed. And the mattress receives you without ceremony. The blanket soft across you. The pillow cool for a moment beneath your cheek. While somewhere under the loft the fire gives off its last patient glow. Amber and low. A warm dimness that reaches upward through the slats and settles in the rafters like a memory of daylight. Nothing bright remains now. Only that honey-colored flicker moving gently against the wood grain. touching the cedar in narrow bands, catching on the rounded edges of old beams, leaving the corners in soft shadow where the dark feels velvety and still. Above you, the roof rain continues, close enough to hear each small change in rhythm. A cluster of finer drops passing lightly over one patch of shingles. Then a smoother murmur. Then a faint run of water finding its way down the far slope. Each sound so natural and so untroubled that listening becomes almost the same thing as resting. The cabin seems to hold the weather with ease, keeping out the wet chill and keeping in the warmth of charred oak, old cedar, wool blanket, and the faint mineral scent that rain brings in from the night woods. You can feel that difference here. The wet world outside and the dry sheltered world within. And the relief of it moves through you slowly, quietly, until it becomes the whole shape of the moment. The loft bed is small, but it asks so little of you. Only that you settle, that you let your weight be carried, that you notice how the roof lowers close above in a way that feels protective rather than narrow, like a hand curved gently over a flame. Beneath you the cabin gives the tiniest occasional creak as the warmth from the hearth shifts through the old boards. And even that sound belongs to the calm, part of the same deep hush as the rain and the fading fire and the darkness beyond the little loft opening. Here, under the roof, almost nothing is required. The day has thinned away into the scent of cedar, into the faint sweetness of smoke, into amber light softening toward shadow, into rain that goes on and on with no intention except to fall. You rest in that simple shelter, held between warm wood below and weather above. And the more you listen, the more the whole cabin seems to breathe in slow quiet layers. Rain over roof, fire under ash, night around walls, and you at the center of it, sheltered completely, with nowhere else to be. From that deep sense of shelter, your attention drifts gently upward through the loft, following the angled rafters above the bed in long dark lines, each one worn smooth by years and softened by the low amber light. The roof slopes close enough that the rain seems almost within reach, and yet it remains tenderly outside, translated through cedar and shingle into 1,000 softened sounds, some very near, some farther off, some light as fingertips, some hollow and rounded, as though a drop has found a deeper channel and passed through it with a quieter, deeper note. You notice how varied the rain becomes when you let it remain exactly as it is. Near one side of the loft there is a faint silvery patter, fine and even, a close veil moving over the roof just above your head. A little farther away there is a slower tapping, wider spaced, each drop landing with a gentle wooden tone. Beyond that, near the edge of the cabin where the roof reaches out over the dark, there is a softer hollow sound, a distant gathering, a muted run of water slipping down and away into the night. None of it asks for your attention, and still it is easy to listen, easy to follow one sound for a moment and then another, as if the whole roof has become a quiet landscape made only of rain. Around you the loft holds its small details with sleepy clarity. The blanket lies in soft folds along your side, warm where it has settled, cooler at the edges where night air brushes it lightly. The pillow gives way beneath your head in a hush of fabric, linen against skin, smooth in one place, faintly creased in another. The seam near the edge of the mattress, the thick woven texture of the coverlet, the softness gathered where blanket and pillow and shadow meet, all of it belongs to the same low gentle world beneath the rafters. Even the darkness has texture here, not empty, not flat, but layered, with dim corners, softer middle tones, and the faintest amber wash still reaching up from the hearth below. Now and then the fire gives a last quiet stir somewhere under the loft. More glow than flame. More warmth than light. And the reddish gold of it shifts across the wood for a moment before settling again. That small movement fades so easily into stillness that it only deepens the calm. The cabin feels slower now. And the rain feels slower too. Though it has not changed very much. Only spread itself into more delicate patterns for you to hear. Slowly. And then more slowly still. Your thoughts can drift as lightly as the sound along the roof line. From one beam to the next. From the faint scent of cedar to the last trace of wood smoke. From the softness near your cheek to the dim shape of the ceiling above. Nothing needs to be followed all the way. Nothing needs finishing. The rain continues in its patient variety. Near and far. Soft and hollow. Close and distant. While the loft grows dimmer. Quieter. Softer around you. And you rest there beneath the rafters. Listening as the night settles more deeply into the wood. Into the fabric. Into the shadows. And slowly. Very slowly. Into you. Chapter 3. Below the glow. For a while. You remain just as you are. Resting in the hush beneath the rafters. And then. Without effort. Your attention drifts downward. Toward the softened glow below. Where the hearth has settled from flame into ember. From bright fire into a gentler kind of light. A low amber pulse that comes and goes in quiet breaths of color. Deepening to red. Then easing into orange. Then dimming again until the stones around it seem to gather the warmth and hold it close. From up here in the loft. The fire no longer looks busy. No longer speaks in lively tongues or sudden brightness. It only glows. Steady and patient. Painting the beams with a faint honeyed sheen and laying a delicate warmth across the lower room. Where chairs and shelves and the worn wooden floor all seem touched by the same drowsy softness. As though the whole cabin has agreed to grow still together. Each surface a little quieter. Each corner a little deeper in shadow. Each shake gentled by the last living color of the coals. Every so often. A small sound rises from below. A faint settling crackle. A light shift within the ash. The tiniest signal that the hearth is still there. Still warm. Still keeping its place in the night. And the sound reaches you slowly. Rounded by wood and distance. Never sharp. Never startling. Only reassuring in its smallness. Like a familiar house remembering itself in sleep. The warmth from those embers climbs upward in such a gradual way that you almost feel it more as comfort than as temperature. A subtle lift through the dark air. A mild current that brushes the underside of the loft and finds you through the blankets. While above. The rain continues its own steady work upon the roof. Tapping and whispering and softening itself over cedar shingles. So that between the low red glow beneath you and the cool, patient weather above, the cabin seems suspended in a perfect nighttime balance. Fire below. Rain above. Hush all around. The pattern repeats so simply. So kindly. That your mind does not need to do anything with it. It only rests within it. Noticing how the ember light swells and recedes. How the faint crackle rises now and then. How the rain on the roof keeps its many small voices woven together into one gentle sheltering sound. And how all of it meets in the middle. Here in the loft. Where you lie tucked under the slope of the roof with cedar scent. Fading wood smoke. And warmth rising softly through the floorboards. Even the shadows seem peaceful now. Not empty. Not dark in any lonely way. Only deep and velvety and calm. Gathered around the edges of the room while the hearth offers its last little signals of light. And you can feel that nothing is unfinished here. Nothing asking to be done. Because the fire is content to fade slowly. The rain is content to fall slowly. And the night is content to deepen slowly. Holding the cabin in that repeating rhythm of glow, ruth, and quiet. So you rest above it all. Not separate from it, but gently included in it. Held between the ember pulse below and the rain hush above. While the warmth rises once more through the wood. The faint crackle lifts and disappears. And the whole cabin settles deeper into its warm, sheltered stillness. Chapter 4. Blanket Nest. Now you settle a little more fully into the bed. Almost without noticing that you have done so. Because the blankets seem to gather around you on their own. Folding their weight more closely along your side. Across your shoulder. Around your legs. Until the whole loft bed feels less like a place you climbed into and more like a nest that has been waiting for you all along. Shaped by softness, warmth, and the slow patience of the night. The blankets are heavy in the most comforting way. Not pressing. Only holding. Their warmth stored from the hearth below and from your own quiet stillness. While the air near the roof remains a little cooler. A little lighter. Carrying the clean scent of rain-touched wood and the faint freshness that slips through old cabin spaces after dark. And where those two temperatures meet. The warmth below and the coolness above. You feel yourself resting exactly in the middle. Perfectly sheltered. Gently cradled between them. Beneath the blanket. There is the deep, familiar comfort of softness near your chest. Near your arms. Near your knees. And beyond it there is the cool hush of the loft. The dim outline of rafters. The muffled rain above. The occasional faraway murmur from the embers below. Each part of the cabin keeping its place without asking anything of you. Each part steady enough that your body begins to trust the whole arrangement more and more. Letting its weight sink down. Letting its edges soften. Letting the bed receive you completely. And as you lie there, warm underneath and cool at the edges, your breathing starts to join the rhythm that has been surrounding you all along. So naturally that it hardly feels separate anymore. In. And out. While rain brushes the roof. In. And out. While the ember glow dims and deepens below. In. And out. While the cabin wood holds its quiet warmth and the shadows gather softly at the corners of the room. Nothing forces the rhythm. It simply continues. Your breath easing into the same patient measure as the night. A little longer now. A little slower. With each inhale drawing in the clean stillness of cedar and rain and faint wood smoke. And each exhale loosening something small and unnecessary. Something you do not need to name. Because it can leave so gently that it barely feels like leaving at all. Only like settling more deeply. More softly. More completely into the blankets. The bed seems warmer now where the blankets have gathered. And the loft seems quieter now that your breathing has become part of it. In. And out. The rain above. In. And out. The warmth below. In. And out. The hush within the beams and boards and woven fabric around you. Until all of it begins to feel like one continuous sheltered motion. A single slow rhythm passing through roof. Hearth. Blanket. Breath. You notice less distinction between one sound and another. Because the rain no longer feels separate from the cabin. And the cabin no longer feels separate from the bed. And the bed no longer feels separate from the slow rise and fall beneath the blanket. Where your breathing continues in its gentle pattern. steady and untroubled. In and out. While the warmth from below lingers, and the cool air near the roof brushes lightly above, and the whole night keeps folding inward. Slowly, slowly, around you. So you sink a little deeper into the blanket nest, held by weight, by warmth, by quiet repetition, and your breathing remains there with the rain. Soft part after soft part. In and out. In and out. While the loft grows dimmer, softer, and more distant around the edges, and all that remains near you is this sheltered rhythm, this warm stillness, this slow and gentle drifting.
Now the fire below has softened to a quieter amber glow, and in the loft you feel only its gentle warmth rising to meet the rhythm of your breathing. And out, the roof speaks. In and out, the embers answer. In and out. Your chest rises a little, falls a little, and the pillow receives that motion as softly as water receiving light. Nothing needs to happen next. The night has already become simple. The fire fading, the rain repeating, the loft dim around the edges, the mattress steady beneath you, the blanket close around you. All of it moves in one slow measure now, one measure that keeps returning, patiently, kindly, until your thoughts begin to loosen their shape and rest where they are. And because the rain keeps coming in the same hushed rhythm, and because the amber glow keeps lowering itself toward hush, and because your breathing knows exactly how to remain here, in and out, in and out, the whole loft seems to close around you a little more tenderly, a little more completely, until you are not simply lying in this warm place above the hearth, but gently enclosed by it, softly gathered into it, while the night continues its quiet work, slowly, slowly, carrying you deeper into its amber quiet.
Chapter 6. Rain Rhythm. The story is very small now, almost gone, and what remains is only this: the rain above, the embers below, the loft holding its hush around you, and your breathing moving slowly between those two quiet sources of warmth and sound, as if each breath rises toward the roof, then returns again toward the hearth. In and out. In and out. With nothing to disturb it, nothing to quicken it, nothing at all except the soft repetition of night. The rain has become a rhythm more than a sound, a fine steady threading across the roof boards, a patient brushing overhead that never tires, never hurries, only continues. Slowly, slowly, each tiny patter joining the next, each next one folding into the one before it, until the whole roof seems wrapped in one continuous murmur. And that murmur settles over you like another blanket, light and cool and endlessly even. Below, the embers barely shift, only a quiet red breathing in the hearth, a low warmth you cannot see directly from where you lie, but can feel as a faint upward tenderness in the air. And between that low ember warmth and the roof rain above, your body seems suspended in the gentlest middle, held between hush and hush, between warmth and rhythm, between one slow breath and the next. Your feet are the first place where the warmth seems to gather more noticeably. Not suddenly. Not sharply. Only as a deepening comfort. A soft heat tucked around your toes. Along the arches. Around the heels resting so still beneath the blanket. And from there it begins to travel with unhurried patience. Moving upward through your ankles. Through your calves. Through your knees. Not like a wave. Not like a rush. But like warmth, remembering each place in turn. Lingering a little. Then moving on. Slowly. Slowly. Your legs grow heavier in the most pleasant way. Softened by that steady spreading heat. As if the mattress has become even more willing to carry them. As if the blankets have become even more skilled at keeping every small pocket of comfort exactly where it belongs. And while the rain continues above, and the embers continue below, the warmth moves higher still. Through your thighs. Through your hips. Through the quiet center of you. Easing everything into stillness so complete it hardly feels like stillness anymore. Only rest. In. And out. The roof rain. In. And out. The ember glow. In. And out. The warmth rising. The body softening. The thoughts loosening. Even your shoulders seem farther away now. Your hands quieter. Your jaw easy. Your face resting without effort against the pillow. And whatever thoughts still drift near you have lost their edges. Have lost their need to become anything clear. Because the rhythm keeps repeating. And repeating. And repeating. Until thought is only another soft thing passing through the dark. Another faint shake that comes apart almost as soon as it appears. So the rain remains above you. Delicate and endless. The embers remain below you. Warm and nearly still. And your breathing keeps moving between them in that same slow measure. In. And out. In. And out. While warmth fills more and more of you. While the loft grows dimmer and dimmer around the edges. While every part of you is carried farther into that quiet middle place where there is almost nothing left to hold. Nothing left to follow. Only the rhythm. Only the warmth. Only the soft and patient drifting. Slowly. Slowly. Into sleep. Chapter 7. Almost floating. The loft seems softer now than it did before. Softer than wood should be. Softer than wool. Softer even than the rain itself. As though the roof above you. The dim rafters around you. The blankets tucked near your shoulders. And the last patient warmth rising from the hearth below have all slowly joined together into one long, unbroken hush. One gentle motion that no longer begins or ends. But simply goes on. And on. And on. While you rest inside it. The rain touches the roof with such a light and steady rhythm that it no longer feels like separate drops at all. Only a quiet veil spread over the cabin. A soft silver sound drifting above you. And beneath that sound you notice how your shoulders have eased farther down. How the small places that once held themselves firm have let go. Little by little. Until the muscles there have forgotten the work of holding. Forgotten the shape of effort. And simply settled into warmth. Your jaw loosens in the same slow way. So gently that the change is almost too quiet to notice. And the softness moves onward from there. Down the sides of your neck. Across your chest. Along your arms. Through your wrists. All the way to your hands where even your fingers seem to rest more heavily now. Curved in stillness. Warm under the blanket. Warm in the firelight that has grown so faint it is hardly light at all now. Only a low amber memory below. Breathing upward through the floorboards in a tender and sleepy glow. And your own breathing seems to meet that warmth and carry it higher. In. And out. Slow and easy. Easy and slow. As if each breath draws a little more of the hearth into you. And each breath lets you sink a little farther into the loft bed. Into the pillow. Into the old cedar scent that lives in the beams above you. Dry and sweet and faintly resinous. Mixed with the soft smell of wool. Of rain-cooled night air. Of ashes settling lower and lower below. Nothing asks anything from you here. The cabin holds its shape around you without effort. The rain keeps its tender measure above you without effort. The embers keep their hidden warmth below you without effort. And so your breathing also becomes effortless. A natural drifting movement. A tide that comes in. And goes out. Comes in. And goes out. While your body grows quieter inside itself. And quieter still. It begins to feel. After a while. As though the loft bed is no longer resting on beams at all. But floating very slightly in the darkened air of the cabin. Not moving. Not swaying. Only held. Suspended in warmth and hush. While the sounds below and above blur into one soft distance. One sheltering murmur. One deep and gentle stillness. You feel cradled there. Not only by the blankets beneath your cheek and over your chest. But by the whole small cabin. By the rain on the roof. By the fading glow of the hearth. By the night gathered quietly all around the walls. And because everything has become so slow. Your thoughts also grow slow. Then softer than slow. Then faint. As if they are wrapped in wool and set down somewhere far away. Where they can no longer trouble the surface of this calm. There is only the long breath now. In. And out. And the warmth drifting upward through your chest and arms. And the hush above you. And the hush below you. And the feeling that you are almost floating. Almost weightless. Almost nowhere at all. Held in the soft middle of rain and warmth and night. Slowly. 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 Drifting farther into sleep. Chapter 8. Softest breath. Now the room is nearly all hush. Nearly all warm. Nearly all rain. Above you. The roof keeps its tender rhythm. So light. So near silent. That it seems less like sound and more like a soft gray veil laid over the night. A fine. Patient murmur. Repeating and repeating. Until there is nothing sharp left in it. Nothing separate. Only that gentle falling. That delicate brushing over the cabin. Over the loft. Over the dark. Below you. The hearth is only a faint glow now. A last amber breath among the embers. Dim and steady and low. Sending up the smallest trace of warmth. Just enough to reach you. Just enough to rise through the floorboards and gather under the blankets. Around your ribs. Along your arms. Around your hands. Until the warmth feels as quiet as the darkness itself. And your breathing answers it. In. A slow and whispered breath. A small still moment. And out. Longer now. Softer now. Easing away into the hush. The rain continues. The warmth remains. Your breath returns. In and out. The loft bed holds you so gently that even that feeling begins to fade. And the pillow beneath your cheek, the blanket along your shoulder, the soft weight over your chest all become part of one drowsy comfort. One unbroken softness. One resting place so complete that there is no need to notice where your body ends and the warmth begins. Where the blanket ends and the night begins. Where the sound of rain becomes the sound of your own slow breathing. In and out. The cedar scent in the rafters above you is faint now. Almost gone into the dark. And the ember light below is faint now. Almost gone into the dark. And even the shape of the cabin around you seems to blur at the edges. Until there is only a sense of shelter. A sense of being quietly held. Quietly covered. Quietly kept. While the roof whispers overhead and the last warmth lingers below. In and out. Everything repeats so softly. The rain above. The glow below. The breath within you. Again. And again. And again. Never hurrying. Never changing. Only growing quieter. Softer. Slower. The room grows dimmer. The sounds grow farther away. The thought of listening grows faint. The thought of noticing grows faint. Even the words seem to settle lower now. Like ash. Like soft wool. Like the last light easing down into embers. In. A slow drifting breath. And out. Into warmth. In. And out. Rain on the roof. Warmth from below. Breath moving gently through the stillness. In. And out. The roof keeps its tender rhythm. The embers keep their tender glow. The night keeps its tender dark. And you keep drifting. With nothing to do but follow that quiet motion as it carries you farther. Farther from thought. Farther from listening. Farther from words. Until there is only the softest breath. In. And out. And then only rain. And warmth. And the fading light. And then. Slowly. Very slowly. Sleep. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed tonight's stories, let me know in the comments. Which one was your favorite? Sweet dreams. And I'll see you next time.